Hi, I am Bhavik Thakkar. Welcome to Btitude. If you're more comfortable with Hindi language, please hit the I button and it will take you to the Hindi version of exact same video. But if you are comfortable with English, let's carry on. Well, in this particular video, we are going to talk about problems on ages. Any whatsoever competitive exam you are targeting for, these are kind of the questions that always come, right? And most of the students find them really complicated and time consuming. They really think that these questions are really complicated and time consuming unless they are very simple and straightforward, right? Fine, you might have experienced the same. Now, the reason behind this that they find it complicated is actually the lack of conceptual clarity. Students might have not got conceptual clarity about this. Now, when I am saying about the ages, the problem with this particular topic is it is not any different topic. It requires some basic fundamental clarity on various topics. For example, your linear equation. Sometimes you might have to frame a normal equation and just get your answer. If you are not clear on how to make equation, it could be really complicated for you. Or maybe you don't have knowledge of average, because many of these questions have the data in average, or maybe percentage or ratio, right? Many of the times the data is given like A's age and B's age are in the ratio of something, or maybe A's age is some percentage more than B's age, right? So you should be having this basic conceptual clarity. Sometimes even numbers, just normal number system, you never know. So these questions require, we will see some examples and that's how you will get an idea, some basic fundamental clarity on this. If you don't have the clarity of all these topics, you will definitely find it complicated. And students find it time consuming simply because they choose bad methods, right? They choose bad methods to solve them. Normally, because it is kind of complicated, it's quite lengthy and students don't understand the questions as in the real sense, they usually end up using long equations, right? Of course, if you go with the traditional method of equation, taking x, taking y, making equations, solving them will take time. So here, in this particular topic, we are going to learn the real methods to solve this kind of the question. And when I am saying real methods, that means no long equations, but we are going to actually use some logical methods, and where logical methods are also sometimes very lengthy, then we would think about the very important method that we would be using quite frequently to solve this kind of the questions, and that is going by option. How you can use elimination strategy to solve these questions. That's what we are going to learn, and I am going to cover very important questions. So please be there till the end so that you can get all the varieties of questions and you can be really sure that you can crack these questions in your competitive exam. Let's get started. So without wasting any time, let's directly go to the questions, right? Because the basic fundamentals is nothing, choose equation, average, ratio and percentage that you already know. So of course, you can pause the video and try to solve it on your own first, right? Now let's have a look how actually we can use the Btitude shortcut method. I mean, how exactly would that method be? Look, it is nothing but using the normal logic that we have actually learned while doing ratio or percentage, those replicas and everything. It's the same funda, because this topic is no different. It is just the combination of those topics. So the logic is no different. It's just the combination of those logic. It's just that we need to practice a bit so that we can be confident on solving these questions, right? So the foremost important thing in problem of ages is to visualize the whole data. That is the most important part. Now, let's try to understand how to visualize. The present age of Ram is 5/6 of Krishna. Now here, in ages, there will be always a number line. I mean, I would say timeline rather than number line, I would say timeline, right? So what I do is, the people whom are we going to discuss about, I'll put here, like say Ram, Krishna and Paramhans, okay, Ram, Krishna, Paramhans, right? Okay. And now Whenever it is past, I would say here, it would be my timeline, like present is 0. Now we are talking about something before 4 years, so -4. Are you getting it? So after any other, nothing, right? Nothing as much. 4 years ago and 5/7 of Paransons. Okay, so present and 4 years ago, that's it. So now let's try to understand how we can actually answer this question. This visualization is the key. Once you make this timeline, now let us understand the present age of Ram, that is this, right, is 5/6 of Krishna. 5/6 of Krishna, that means that gives us the ratio. Now, if you know the ratio, then you can easily understand that means the ratio of Ram and Krishna is 5:6 at present, right? Ram is 5/6 of Krishna. This is basic, right? It should be clear in your mind. First thing is ratio. Next, and before 4 years, that means here, age of Krishna was 7/5 of Paramhans. That means these ratio. So first important thing is visualization and interpretation. Now visualization is like just make those people here, timeline here, that is the first thing. Next thing, interpretation. Now if you don't know the ratio, you will not be able to interpret those words and you will not be able to translate them into ratios like this. Fine, so that basic is very important. Next, now let's try to understand, if Paramhans celebrated 5th birthday 9 years ago, now this gives us an idea. What does it give us an idea about? That means Paramhans is 14 years old now. Are you getting this? Because he celebrated his 5th birthday 9 years ago, that means he is 14 years now. That is the most important part. That means this Paramhans now is like this, current is 14. Now this is the real age, others are ratio. But if he is 14 now, before 4 years, he should be 10. So now we realize this 5 is 10, right? As soon as I write 10 instead of 5, that means double, this 7 becomes 14, right? Now once we know this, it also goes this side. Before 4 years, if he was 14, now he must be 18. So this 6 becomes 18. If 6 becomes 18 into 3, this 5 becomes 15. So we know all the real ages now, 15, 14, 18, and current ages would be 15, 18 and 14, right? Now try to understand what's the question. The question is, find Ram's age when he attended Paramhans' 5th birthday party. Paramhans, now, so we are supposed to compare Ram to Paramhans, right? Ram is 15, Paramhans is 14. So when Paramhans is, you can understand Ram is 1 year older, right? So when Paramhans' 5th birthday party, Ram must have been 6 years old, and that's it, right? So this was just a normal interpretation of ratio and the understanding of ages. So that is what we will always do. To understand the age thing, we will always put the people here, timeline here, and then whatever the data, we would translate them into here, and then starts the story. If you interpret them properly, you hardly need to make some equations. And sometimes even if you have to, the equations will be pretty easy, right? We are not supposed to make many equations as you saw here. We didn't even have to make any in this particular question, right? All right. So I hope you liked it. Fine. Go for the next question. Hopefully you can again pose it and solve on your own. Now here, we'll understand, okay, Rocky and Kevin. So I would put Rocky here, Kevin here. Is there anybody else? Doesn't look like. Let's have a look. Rocky's age before 3 years, I would say before 3 years, was 5 times the Kevin age after 1 year. Okay, so this is 5:1, right? Just for my understanding, of course they have to be in the same line, but Rocky's age before 3 years is 5 times Kevin age after 1 year. Okay, now they say the sum of their present ages is 56 years. Okay, that means here, right, 0. These age here and here, that sum is actually 56 years. Then how old Rocky be when Kevin will be? So that means that is the question, but we are not given any other option. So you know, normally students are prompted to take equation something, because we don't know 56 is just a total. We don't know anything else. But rather than making equation, you know, there would be very limited kind of trial and error method you can use and find out, because there would be very limited kind of possible ways in which you can make it 5:1, right? You can make it trial and error method rather than taking equations. It shouldn't take more time, right? Because you can understand that, okay, 5:1, that means this Rocky is quite old. So out of 56 years old, okay. Now one more thing, before 3 years his age would be in 5 stable, right? So I would say, okay, he is quite big as well, right? So I would say out of 56, if let us make 53, then before 3 years he would be 50, right? So if he is 53, Kevin would be 3. Just trial and error, 53 and 3. So before 5 years, before 3 years he would be 50, and after 1 year this one become 4. Is it 4 to 50? Is it 5 times? No. Is it 1:5? No, right? So that means we need to take another example, maybe decrease 5 here, maybe 48, increase 5 here, 8. That is also 56, right? Now before 3 years this would be 45, after 1 year 9, 9 into 45, perfect, right? So you know, we had to take kind of the examples, deducting 3, it should be in 5 stable, and there would be limited options, and we knew Rocky has to be very old. So I tried 53, then 48, it worked, right? So now we know it has to be 48 and 8, right? Fine. So before 3 years 45, after 1 year 9, exactly 1:5. So you could have used trial and error method. If you know, in most of the difficult sums, don't use, you know, because in ages, the thing is that ages are very limited. You cannot be 150 years old and 160 years old, right? Around 100, most of the ages are like 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, right? Or maybe 20s even, but limited. And then given the ratio, it would become very easy to pick up some of the options and do trial and error method, fine? Rather than making equation, that would be smart. So here, you know, it would have hardly taken 20 seconds to figure it out, 48 and 8. With good amount of practice, you can easily figure it out within 20 seconds, 48 and 8. Now you understand, that means Rocky is 40 years older. Now the question is, when Kevin will be as old as Rocky? So when Kevin will be 48. Now Rocky is 40 years older, right? That means when Kevin will be 48, Rocky will be 48 plus 40, 88 years old now. Fine? Good enough? Fair enough, right? So very good question. Hopefully you can figure it out. What about this one? Again, think about this. Pause your video on your own. Now let's have an idea. Ratio of present ages of Ram and Sita is this, and okay. Now these actually I have already explained maybe in the last video, traditional versus Btitude shortcut in ratio, 5th video maybe, part 5, where the ages question with ratio are already explained. So if you really understand that, I have already told you, you can convert this ratio into replica by multiplying them with the difference of the other ratio. That means, what is the difference between 16 and 13? 3. Multiply both of these by 3. 6 and 5 by 3 would give you 6 into 3, 18, sorry, 18 and 15, right? And multiply 16 and 13 by the difference of 6 and 5, that is 1. So that means they would still remain the same, 16 and 13. So look, this is not the real figure, alright. This is just the replica. Now try to understand, the ratio of present ages is this, while at the time of their marriage, it was this. Are you getting it? That means in my replica, they are both getting increased by 2 years, right? After marriage, if they were married at 16 and 13, they are increased by 2 years. But maybe it's not the real figure. Now they are saying if this ratio will become 20:17 after 4 more years. After 4 more years, okay. Now try to understand. From here, after 4 more years, it has to become 20:17. 20:17. So actually, if you understand, here it is only increasing by 2, right? So if this 2 years, are you getting this? Here 18 and 15. In my example, whatever I have taken, both are increasing by 2 years, but they are saying that happens after 4 more years. That means whatever the numbers are given have to get double to match the real numbers. Are you getting this? Right? Because in my replica it is 2 years, but they are saying it is 4 years. That means it's just a double. So before how many years they married, so just double, right? So from here, if you try to understand which one is the current time, the ratio of present age is, current time is this one, right? Current time is this one. Try to understand, current time is this one. Now they are saying after 4 years the ratio will become and that 4 in my replica, that 2 is 4. So this side also that 2 will be 4. So this will be 4 years. That means, and if you really understand, just multiply all the ages by 2, then also that makes sense. 36 and 30 twice, 32 and 26 and twice, 40 and 34. These would be the real figures. Are you able to understand? This is when they got married at the age of 32 and 26. Are you getting this? Right now they both, so if you understand, ratio of present ages are 36, 30, 36 is to 5. At the time of their marriage, 16, 13, yes it is, right? If this ratio will become after 4 years, 40, 34, that means 2017, yes it is. So everything matches. Are you getting this? So if you know this method, so the thing is that if you have not watched that video, you may not be able to understand it right now. So please watch that video, because that's the thing. This topic is actually combination of the previous topics. Fine. But anyway, I told you how to make a replica. All right. Replica, look, if you are totally new to my videos, my channel, you will not be able to understand what even replica is. That's the Btitude method, beautiful Btitude method, right? So please watch previous videos, so that, because this topic is not any topic on its own, it's the combination of previous topics. All right. So hopefully you figured it out and you enjoyed it, right? All right then, what about this one? Again, you can pause the video. Let's have an idea. Ratio of sum of present ages of Karan and Arjun to difference between their ages. Now this is also very important. You know what? This is the ratio of sum and difference. Again, this is given in ratio. I already explained to you. Actually, if you understand Karan and Arjun's present age, that is at the current age, 0 age, right? 0 time, I would say. How do you find it? Sum and difference. 9 plus 1, 10. 9 minus 1 is 8. 10, 8. That is 5, 4. Now that's the beauty. If you know this, it becomes very easy. Now you can actually check it as well. They are saying the sum of their ages, 5 plus 4, 9, and difference, 5 minus 4, 1. Yes, that is the age. That is the ratio, right? So when this ratio is given, how to find out the individual ratio? Sum and difference. 9 plus 1, 10. 9 minus 1, 8. 10, 8, 5, 4. Right? This trick I have already explained to you in ratio topic as well. Right? So that's the thing. If you didn't study the previous tricks, it would be difficult to apply it in this particular topic. Be aware of all those tricks. Now, in case you don't understand how, let me tell you. Can I say k plus a is equal to 9 and k minus a, that's the difference, right, is equal to 1. Sum is 9, difference is 1. If you actually add these two, 2k is equal to 10, and if you actually subtract, then k minus k will get cancelled, a minus minus a will become 2a, 9 minus 1 will become 8. Are you getting this? So this is the ratio of 2k is to 2a, 10 is to 8. That means k is to a, ratio is also 10 is to 8, right? So that is the whole procedure, but I have already given you the shortcut. This is how you can find out sum and difference. You find out the ratio. Yes, of course, we don't, okay, the ratio will become 12 is to 1 in 6 years. So that means after 6 years, right, this is in timeline plus 6. Again, this is the ratio of sum and difference. So 12 plus 1, 13, 12 minus 1, 11, 13, 11, right? Wonderful. Now, when the two ratios are given, again, I have told you, even we use the same technique before, the difference of the other, right, the difference of these two is what? 2, multiply these both by 2. They will become 10 and 8. And difference of these two is 1, multiply these two by 1, they will still remain 13 and 11. Now that is the replica. This has become our replica, right? So in our replica from here to here, both are getting older by 3 years, right? But actual, it is 6 years. That means again you have to double the numbers to get the, from replica you can get the real numbers. So just double it, you get the real number 20, 16, 26 and 22. These are the real ages. Present ages are 20, 16, after 6 years 26 and 22. What's the question? Find age of Karan, who is older of the two. Find age of Karan, who is older of the two. 20. right? Present age is 20. So there you go, right? So that's the combination of previous topics. If you know them, if you don't know them, it's really going to be really complicated. Fine. Let's have an idea about the next question. What about this one? Again, you can pause the video and try to do it on your own first. Let's have an idea. Again, it is Ram Krishna Paramhans. Okay, Ram Krishna Paramhans. Average is given, current age, right? So current age average, 0 time. Before 3 years, okay. What else? After 2 years, okay. What else? Nothing. Okay. So current average is 34. Now, as soon as I know current average is 34, I am putting it here. That means before 3 years it has to be 31 and after 2 years it has to be 36. Pretty easy to understand. Minus 3 plus 2. Fair enough, right? Now, once you know this, let's understand what the data is given. Now they are saying before 3 years the average age of Ram and Krishna was 30. Before 3 years. Now, before 3 years, total would have been 93, right? 31 into 3. Total age of all the 3 must be 93, out of which Ram and Krishna's age would be 60. Some, because average is 30, so some would be 60. Are you getting this? So, 2 average is 30. That means 2's total will be 60. Ram plus Krishna will be 60. That means other 33 will be Paramhans. That is how it will make 93, right? Now, what they give is after 2 years, the average of Krishna and Paramhans will be 38. After 2 years, total will be 36 into 3, 108. 36 is the average of all the 3, 108, out of which Krishna and Paramhans total will be 76, 38 into 2. So, 108 minus 76 will be 32. Whose age? Krishna Paramhans. That means this will be 32 here. Getting this? Fine. So, once you know this, it's very easy because now you know 32 is after 2 years. So, right now it is 30. 33 was before 3 years. So, right now it is 36. And total is 34 into 3, 102, right? 34 is the average. Are you getting this? 34 is the average. So, total is 102 minus 66 will also give you 36 here. Yes. Now, what is the question? Find Krishna's current age. There you go. 36. That is here, right? Wonderful. So, you need to be aware of the average here, right? If your average topic is clear, you can answer this question very easily. That's the thing. It's the combination of previous topics, ratio, average. Fine. All right then. What about this one? Again, please pause the video and try to answer on your own first. Fine. Let me have an idea. Dhara and Dei got married when the average age was 23. Okay. And after 4 years, a baby was born. Okay. So, after 4 years, try to understand that. After 4 years, average would be 27. That means total would be 54, right? Total should have been after 4 years, right? So, this is marriage time, right? The average was 23, whatever, but after 4 years, their average should be 23 plus 4, 27. That means there are 2 people. Total should be 54. But now baby is born, which is 0 age. So, at 54, now is the sum of 3 people, right? When baby is born, the sum is 54. That means average is 54 divided by 3, 18, right? So, when the baby was born, the average age of the family was 18. And now they are saying, now current average age of the family is 25. That means plus 7 years, right? Currently, after the baby is born, we are talking about plus 7 years. Fine. All right. But now, what is the question? Before how many years did Dhara and Dei got married? So, from here, if we think before 7 years, the baby was born. But before 4 years even, they got married. So, 7 plus 4, 11 years. So, you know, if you understand the things as they are given, right? If you understand them, and if you understand the basic concept of average, right? So, before there were some questions where ratio concept clarity of concept was required, and here the concept clarity of average is required. Fine. And we could easily answer the question something like this. Fine. What about this one then? Think about this. Again, it is the average one, right? So, if your average is clear, you can answer it something like this. May I remove this? No worries. Let's understand. When a teacher and a student join a class of 23 students, the average age increases by 10%. However, if only students join the class, the average age remains the same. Right? That means whatever is the average age of 23 is the average age of 24. That means 24 student is having the same age as the average of 23 students, because when whatever is the average, the same value observation joins, the average does not change, right? If in a class the average age is 30 years, if a new student with 30 years joins, the average will still be 30. We can understand that. So now here it was the catch. If student joins the class, the average age remains the same. That means 23 years average age or 24th average age or 24th age is actually same as 23's age. So 24th average age, let us take it as, because it is given in percentage. When teacher joins, it increases by 10%, right? Fine. So let us understand 24 students average age is, say, for example, say 10. I am taking round figure because 10% of 10 is easy. Then when teacher joins, it becomes 25 and average becomes, right? This is the average. Now this is not the real average. I am just taking a replica, right? 10% increase. That means 10 to 11, 24 students, and with teacher it becomes 25. So if you understand here, total will be 240 here and 275 here. So in my replica, teacher is 35 years old, right? Average age of student is 10 and teacher is 35. So in my replica, try to understand, this is not the real figure. My replica, students are 10 years and 10 years old on an average, and teacher is 35 years old, right? Now let's try to understand what is given further. Find average age of 23 students if teacher's age is 7 more than thrice the average of all other. Okay. So average of students, thrice of it, plus 7. That is what teacher's age is. So in my replica, thrice of student age will be 30. And teacher is actually 5 years older than that, right? Not 7. In my replica, are you getting it? Thrice the average age will be 30. And teacher is actually 5 more than that. But they are saying it is 7. So from my replica, whatever is 5 is actually 7, right? Right? Then they are asking, find average age of 23 students. So in my replica, it is 10, right? If 5 is 7, 10 will be how much? 14. There you go, right? So this would be the replica method. But if you don't understand, if it is difficult for you to understand, unless you have watched the previous videos, it could be difficult. But if you have watched my previous videos like percentage, ratio, this should be a cakewalk. But if you don't understand, then you can also understand here. Like, you can understand the student's average age is 10 and sir's average age, teacher's average age is 35. This is just a ratio, right? You can take the ages as 10x and 35x. Student's average age is 10x, sir's age is 35x. Now they are saying thrice the student's age, 30x, plus 7 is equal to 35x, right? Solving this, you should get x is equal to 7 by 5, right? Now put this 7 by 5 because you have assumed student's age is 10x, right? So 10 multiplied by 7, 70 by 5 is also 14. You will still get 14. But if you are good enough with the replica method, you can directly understand the difference. Thrice is 30 plus 5. In my replica, it is thrice plus 5. But that 5 is actually 7. So the replica's figure of 10 will become 14. 5 is 7, then 10 is 14. As simple as that. Fair enough, right? Lovely. What about this one? Again, think about this. You can pause the video, fine, and try to do it on your own first. Here also there are some questions related to average. Alright then, let's have an idea. The average age of husband, wife and son was 42 years. The son got married and exactly a year after child was born. Now try to understand here. Okay. Now when the child is 5 years old, that means from here plus 6 years, right? Here the average age was 42, then son got married. And after a year, baby is born, and when baby is 5 years old, that means 1 plus 5, 6 years. That means this husband plus wife plus sons, these were 3, right? Their average age would have been 42 plus 6, 48 into 3. At this time I am talking about, right? Because they all would have increased by 6 years in this particular time. So this would be the total of husband plus wife plus son, 48 into 3, that is 144. And the new child, right, child is actually 5 years old now. So all other force age would be 149. Fair enough. But now they are saying at this particular time, the average age of the whole family means husband, wife, son, then the bride and the child. So 2 more, 5 people. 5 people's average age is 36. That means total would be 36 into 5, 180. Total is 180 of the whole family. Total is 149 for these 3 plus child. That means the bride age would be the difference of these two, that is 31, right? How? No, but the question, try to understand. The age of bride would be 31 now, right? So don't take this 31, that would be wrong. Try to understand what they are asking. How old was the bride when she got married? Not now, right? She got married before 6 years, right? 5 years boy plus 1 year, 6 years. So 31 minus 6, that is 25. But if you by mistake answer 31, it's going to be wrong. But if you visualize each and everything, and if you know the basic concept of average, it was pretty easy, right? So I think, yes, that's about it for this, right? I hope you enjoyed this. The bottom line is, if you are good with the basic concept of average, percentage, ratio, fine, it's not going to be a big deal. You can easily crack these sums. But beware that sometimes even we might have to use the options as well, right? Here they were all logical. We could easily apply the logic, fine. But I would come up with the next part where we would also apply going by the option method, where other methods look really difficult, even logical method looks difficult. That's where we would be doing that. Fine? Alright then, keep watching, keep learning and keep enjoying.